Hello, everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. You may remember in last night's exciting episode, we were talking to Anthony McFarland Gonzalez out on the trail where he is encountering the odd moose from time to time. He was telling us about his moose encounters. Have you seen any moose on this particular ride?
No, gosh, no, thank goodness, not yet.
No. We were talking about some other obstacles. Okay, traffic is an obstacle, perhaps, weather. What are your main obstacles? Say, during the winter when you do these rides during the winter, right?
Yeah, I do the rides year round.
If it's snowing, you still do it?
Hmm?
Yeah. What's that like?
Actually, it's quite nice. It's the riding in the winter actually beautiful, especially when it's fresh snow on the ground. You don't have it's silent. It's very grippy, depending on if it's January or February when it's really cold. Just if stuff freezes over, but it's a little treacherous, but it's very nice. I like it.
What other kind of animals have you seen besides the moose? The meese?
Lots of deer and a couple wolves, believe it or not.
You've seen a wolf?
Yeah, there's a couple of wolves here. There were what we call what are they called? Not stray wolves, but
lone wolves.
Oh my gosh, lone wolves. Thank you. And that's it. They're not the packs. They're down south, but there are some lone wolves up here in Bydgoszcz.
So they're just wandering around on their own.
Hmm?
No pack, no family, just on their own. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like us cyclists that we normally cycle alone, so we can be called lone wolves.
As well. So when you see a wolf, what do?
Usually they're just kind of startled and then they just really sprint into the forest. But there's been a couple times that they've gotten so used to a cyclist, they just kind of stand there in the middle of the road. It's like, really? You're making me get out of the way? And then they just...
That's what I was wondering, if they got used to you and they know nobody's going to bother them. So
yeah, and that's what they do.
But deer rarely are like that, I think.
No, deer, they will hear you beforehand and they will literally jump out in front of you. Those are the animals that scare me the most, are the deer, because they will literally jump and you try your damnedest to stop, but you'll hit them.
Yeah.
I hit one in the past 8 years.
Have you ever seen a lynx or something like that?
No, I haven't had the pleasure.
What about a savage rabbit?
Oh, tons of those little hares.
They can get quite big, can't they?
Yeah, yes. They give it the size of my dog.
Yeah, and they can jump like boy.
No other.
They jump like kangaroos, don't they?
Yeah.
The hares, and they have a lot of them in Poland. They have particular
species,
particular type of hare, and you don't see them that often unless you go into the woods, the real woods. But that's really interesting. So when you take off, what time do you take off? What time do you get back on a typical day?
It depends on if I'm doing, like today, I took off early. I took off at 1 o'clock so I can do about 4 or 5 hour ride. And then normally I usually do it in the mornings, but that's going to be later on in the summer when it gets to the heat weather. The hot weather. And yeah, so it's the later in the day is just for the cold weather, and then earlier in the morning is for the hot weather.
Okay, so what day? And you usually go on the weekend on these long ones?
Yeah. Saturdays and Sundays are usually my long ones.
Yeah. Have you ever had a close encounter with another bicycle or some kind of vehicle when you're doing this?
Every single day when I have to cross the roads or I have to ride in town, people are that's one of my biggest fears, riding in town. That's why I love mountain biking, because I can just be the heck away from people and enjoy the ride instead of being what an American idiom called a pucker factor, or you have white knuckle driving.
That's when you clench your bottom because it's scary.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No,
I know.
I can't say that all about Polish drivers, because it's just a lot of the majority of them that I have on the roads, they're actually very nice, but it's just, I would say it's 60% of them just really don't give a darn for a cyclist. I can't say that because I can say that because I've driven in other countries like Italy, Belgium, France, Spain, even the UK. The UK, they respect their cyclists, not as much as Italy, but Yeah, Italy is just ridiculous. They literally will drive behind you until they have a clearing, or you give them the go ahead. Here in Poland, they will try and pass you within inches, and they will say that's don't ride on the road. I'm like, they make better paths for us then. Protect your cyclists because we have families too, you know.
Yeah, of course. The infrastructure is much, much better than it used to be. There used to be almost non-existent. You really were taking your life in your hands to get on the road with a bicycle some years ago. But there are a lot of paths in the cities and even in the countryside now. I'm pretty amazed. You can go somewhere. This is the good part of EU development, actually, is the roadways and the bicycle paths, because it's great fun to go out, you know, and get out in the countryside on the bicycle. It doesn't take that long as you would think it would take, and you can be right out of the city. Particularly in Warsaw, you can go over to Campinos, which is a beautiful forest, the largest, I think, forest of its kind in Poland, and protected forest. And to cycle around that is a real pleasure. It's not always easy. They're not paths all around, but you can go into the forest, and I've done that. I've gone all the way across it through the middle of the forest. Took all day, but it was a lot of fun. You know? Yeah.
I mean, there's just something said about nature and green has been known to calm people's nerves and bring them down to much manageable levels and bring stress levels down, and it just makes you a better person for the rest of the day. I mean, I can't really say or speak on the city people, but it really has been scientifically shown to show that. And actually, believe it or not, the University of Colorado did that as a study.
I didn't know that. I find it's always nice to get outside, and whether cycling or going to a park outside and just hiking through, or walking through, is a lot of fun. Yeah, especially even when we're filming, I like to do that. It just seems more restful somehow to be, particularly in the spring and summer, fall. Okay, thanks, Anthony. See you soon. That's all we have time for. That was Anthony McFarland Gonzalez, who is cycling somewhere in northern Poland between Bydgoszcz and Inowrocław, and doing a 120-kilometer cycle today. All right. Thank you for watching Poland Daily Travel. I'm Will Richardson. See you tomorrow night.